What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and welcome to another episode of Eat Better Today with DameSmiff. And so today we're going to talk about how the food pyramid did a whole flip here in the United States, and we're going to kind of break down what it means, how it's going to be changed, and what that means for you going into your fitness journey. So if you are interested in conversations like this, make sure you hit the like button so other people know this video is cool, and then also hit the subscribe button so you can catch my latest videos. This channel is primarily focused on music and musicians and their career, but you can always use a good old fitness and health tip. So today we're going to look at a quick Fox News clip where they're talking to Miss Jillian Michaels about the food pyramid being flipped upside down and what it really means. But before we get into that, let's get into a little bit of like my personal experience with the food pyramid and whatnot. So kind of like my understanding is that it was mostly carbs and a little bit of fat, and fat made you fat. Okay. What I've learned lately is that carbs are energy and fat helps your body cells do their job. It helps your eyes blink and your brain think. Okay. And that's like a super D level, version of that. So make sure you ask your teacher the better way to answer that. But essentially, what we were missing a lot of the times in our typical American diet were the micronutrients from, let's say, whole foods and vegetables, things like magnesium and iron and B12s and all these cool things like that, right? And so what we started to do was, instead of actually just eating more of those foods, we started to put more of the vitamins in the foods we liked, and it wasn't necessarily helpful. So you would have fortified breads and things like that. It made foods more sustainable for the shelves, and fortified cereals and stuff like that. But ideally, your body wants to function on good, wholesome living foods and like a good balance of like grains and breads and things like that, right? So if you're going to do rice, then go ahead and do rice. But your whole week shouldn't be rice and chicken, right? I've done it. We've all done it. And, if you haven't done it, good for you. But ideally, yeah, you want to eat more vegetables, drink more water. And if you clearly want to get more hydration, you want to get it from whole foods and sodium and things like that, not necessarily candy or some kind of like super Gatorade drink or something like that. So let's take a look here at the pyramid, and we're going to take a look at this video here from Fox, and we're going to see what they say here. All right, so let's tap into it.
Old food pyramid upside down, releasing new dietary guidelines promoting whole foods, lean protein, fruits, and vegetables. And here's what FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary had to say earlier on our show.
We have ended an era of medical dogma where in the past the only thing that has been recommended is to avoid fat. And fat was the boogeyman for really no good scientific reason except that it was the dogma passed on generation to generation. We are moving on to a scientific-based approach to say we need more protein. There's not enough protein in the diet of the vast majority of kids. We've increased the protein guideline by 50 to 100%. You want whole grains, that is grains bound to fiber, fruits and vegetables, and there's nothing wrong with fat. You don't need to serve kids low-fat foods like low-fat dairy.
So let's bring in Jillian Michaels, the host of Toxic, America's Food Crisis on Fox Nation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How is this new information?
It isn't necessarily new information. What I think HHS is pussyfooting around for politically sensitive reasons is the fact that the food pyramid is not really to inform you and me or the people on the street. It guides hundreds of billions of dollars of our tax money and subsidies to programs like Women and Children, SNAP. It's what feeds our kids in the public schools. It's what feeds our military. So this had been captured decades ago by the Corn Refiners Association, the Wheat Growers of America, the Soybean Growers of America, and that's why the base of the food pyramid was all ultra-processed garbage. So what this is really going to do now is make healthier food more affordable and more accessible for the nation's most vulnerable.
Okay, she actually proved me wrong there a little bit, because I thought originally it was just cheaper, just more efficient, but there's actually more to do with making money off of your lifestyles. So of course, we want to be convenient, we want to pop something in the microwave and things like that, but the idea of like sandwiches, toast, all of the bread, like all the grains, pasta and things like that, like if you look at quick meals and things like that, if you look that up on Google, almost all of it has like some kind of pasta or some kind of starch or carb there. Like potatoes are cool, but like if you're gonna do pasta, rice, that makes a lot of money for the people that sell pasta and rice, especially if you're gonna push recipes, push lifestyles and things like that. So yeah, she definitely opened my eyes to that. I didn't think of that.
and more accessible for the nation's most vulnerable.
It says stay away from ultra-processed foods. I thought, what exactly is that? So I was looking it up. It's the frozen waffles that we feed our children. It's the chips. It's the soda. It's all the little tiny packages that we pack in our children's lunches, even if it says organic.
Organic is a step up simply because it removes many of the chemicals we don't even understand when we read them on the back of the package. Having said that, it still has the same amount of calories, it still lacks nutrients, it still lacks fiber. So at the end of the day, obviously, if I was to inform your average bear, I'd say, listen, eat real food, make sure you can tell it had a mother or it grew out of the ground, you're good, you're in good shape.
So what she kind of means there is not necessarily like don't eat organic food or anything like that, like it's still bad. What she's saying is it's not the organic food, it's the ingredient, okay? So like if you're gonna eat organic bread, right, that's still bread. Like you need to be eating vegetables with the sandwich or with the toast or whatever it is, right? You can't just say, okay, it's organic, so now I've negated what was going to be inorganic bread problems. No, you still need to think about the ingredient itself, which comes with calories and nutrients and other things like that. But yeah, she's right though. It's helpful to think of it to be like grown natural food because you have less just to think about. So like natural mayos and sauces and milks like that, they just have less to think about. But if you're going to get the highly processed stuff, it's just processed, but it still is the same ingredient that you're still eating.
And then organic takes it to the next level of removing pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and all different kinds of chemicals that make it into our food. But this is really about redirecting that funnel of hundreds of billions, 600 billion over the past 3 decades to big food and big ag, and helping it to benefit regular people.
Good. I watched your special on Fox Nation, and it was great because you talk about, you pose the question, you say 170 million Americans are obese or overweight. There's an explosion of chronic diseases. How do we fight big pharma that profits when we're sick?
The ultimate rebellion is taking agency. At the end of the day, you know, what is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's easy to say that, but ultimately this is why you do want the government working for you, not against you. You know, people think like, I want less government, but what they don't appreciate is that Big Pharma doesn't want less government. They lobby your politicians to make them work on their behalf. We need them.
So she's right. And a part of it though, that she has to deal with, I'm sure, with her conversations, is that you have to deal with people's sensibilities with this issue, and you have to deal with their comfortable levels or comfortability levels with this issue. So like a very, very obese person has to deal with being very, very obese. The idea of just telling them eat this, not that, is a lot deeper than eat this, not that, right? And then you have a person who's skinny or skinny fat, right? The issue that they're going to have with eat this, not that is how comfortable it makes them just as much as it does for the person that's obese or 300, 400, 500 pounds, right? So the conversation she's trying to have is a cultural conversation. Now you have to shift people's minds from when I get up in the morning, this is what I eat for breakfast. That conversation is way more different than eat this, don't eat that. Because what you're attached to when it comes to what you eat is almost emotional, but it's damn near written into your code. Like you're almost hardwired to crave certain things and to desire certain things. So when you see what she's saying being met with resistance, she has to fight that on top of the fact that it is lucrative to take advantage of people that have these issues. So if you're a person who's skinny fat, but you love you some Burger King, it benefits your country to feed you a larger size of fries. It benefits their country to not push Burger King to maybe give you a vegetable option or at least subsidize them to feed you vegetables. But let me know what you think. If this was something for you that you struggle with, let me know in the comments below, and I can get you hooked up with either my coach or maybe help you with some advice that you may need from me or things like that, and we can get started. But let me know what you think about the food pyramid being flipped upside down. This is Eat Better Today with DameSmiff, and I'm out.